psychosis, believing her baby has been murdered and that everyone is lying to her. Now, Bianca also thinks she's still married to Liam and neglects her real partner, who's also the baby's father, Heath. After being sedated and taken back to the hospital, Bianca comes to and reunites.
Hello. Oh, hello. Hello, Mummy's here.
Now we're joined by Lisa Gormley, who plays Bianca from Home and Away, and our other angels, Nikki Brigger and Melissa Hoyer. Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Lisa,
Morning.
I love it when Home and Away does this sort of thing. Postnatal psychosis, a real disease, affects 1 in 1,000 women. How traumatic was it for you to play that?
Firstly, well, I'd like to thank the women who've been brave enough to put their stories online and talk about it on all the blogs that I ended up reading. It was hard. These women go through so much and it is so real for them and it is very scary. And it's also often forgotten. It's lost amidst the language of depression, whereas it's actually the next step and it can be very, very dangerous for both mum and baby. So I think it's very important for people to be aware of these things.
And it shows like this that puts a face to it and brings it to the attention of it and gives people confidence to speak out. Nikki, our colleague Jessica Rowe suffered from postnatal depression, which is a bit different, but she was saying it took her 6 weeks to speak up, and because of the stigma attached to it, which
Absolutely.
is
I think everyone so, wants to cope and be the superwoman, and, you just can't do it. And I remember Jess's piece in Vogue, that really raw, emotional... Yeah. I don't think there's one woman who didn't read it, and it was she was just incredible actually coming out with it. But it's 17% of people actually women suffer from postnatal, so there is nothing to be ashamed of, and you need to get help clearly, not obviously for your own well-being, the child's well-being, as you mentioned, and you need the support of your family.
That's the big thing that this series on Home and Away is showing, Lisa, isn't it, Melissa? That family network's so important, but you've got to learn about it to identify it, to add the support.
Exactly, because so often we assume once you've had a baby, everyone will be happy and mum's supposed to be happy and everything's go. But as long as the family and friends recognise what they are dealing with, whether it is postnatal depression or anything else, you have to sort of learn about it and realise what you are dealing with. And that's why I've been watching the show, and I really, each night, have been riveted to exactly how you, as a character, would approach it and react to it. So I think it's really good for a show like Home and Away to look at those sort of issues.
I love it when they do that. And they've done it all over the years too, which is great. Now, tune into Home and Away to see more on that story unfold weeknights at 7 p.m. here on 7. Remember, 1 in 1,000 mums suffer from it. That's a pretty high number, isn't it? All right, let's move on to something a bit different. Still on kids. We know kids are a drain on the purse or wallet, but now figures been put on how much. All right, close your eyes. Teenagers cost more than 20% of the average weekly wage. That's $237 a week or $12,000 a year after tax. And they're most expensive at age 17. Melissa, is there something you're looking forward to?
This is scary. I have a 10-year-old son. I figure I'm going to be working till I'm about
110.
It is scary because when you do it, and that is just a basic sum. But when you put all those extras, if you send your kid to a private school, it's going to be 10 times that amount of money. So it's potentially very scary.
Excursions, the clothes.
Exactly.
But also the technology. Nikki, I reckon this is like my kids. When they were teenagers, were saying, crying how poor they were, and I said, well, that's because you've got a mobile bill to pay now, whereas in my day, you went to the movies on that.
That's right. I mean, now you've got broadband, you've also got all the games, and also, you know what, education now, they expect them to be, technology savvy and to have this stuff, so you can't actually avoid it.
You can't not have a computer at home. There's no possible way.
Now, Lisa, you deal with a whole bunch of teenagers every single day. I see most of them at the basketball. Are they an expensive? What do they have? Expensive taste?
Yeah, wow. No, look, I was saying it just outside before, the most expensive thing that we worked up to when I was a kid was, I think it was a Barbie camper van thing with a horse trailer, and it was phenomenal. It was like $60 odd, and it was like, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, hang on, they're getting, laptops, iPads now. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Yeah. Send them out and climb a tree.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, and I need some advice, girls. Real advice. This weekend I'm going on a boys' weekend away to a mate's farm. I haven't been away on a boys' weekend, I don't think, since my son-in-law's Bucks weekend on the Gold Coast, which was a few years ago.
You haven't had a leave pass.
What do you
It's a
think?
hall party.
And we're all over 50. So what do you get up to? I'm in charge of entertainment. I sort of pick Scrabble and stuff. What do you think we will do?
My husband went away on one about, a few months ago, and I rang them at 8 o'clock to see how they were going. They were all in bed because they'd been to a boozy lunch and they were a little tired. And I thought, the girls have more stamina.
Well, it's like that whole pass, the movie. They all go to have a big night and they just all sort of eat and go to bed at 9 o'clock.
That's right.
So I
Watch
think
the footy.
you will not have a big night at all.
What about fishing?
Bit of fishing, bit of cooking,
Yeah.
bit of beer. Pass out.
Take away
bit of wine
pizza.
tasting.
I was thinking of taking some drums and a bit of a teepee and getting back to our tribal roots.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Naked, dancing around
I was
the
going to
fire.
say,
Bit of hunting.
we get those people that came in
And a bit of that
earlier.
dancing that guy was doing before.
Bit of war paint.
Bit of pink shit. We'll fart and spit a lot.
Do you know what? You're just going to
Might
go
be
wine tasting and watch a film, I bet you. It's going to be all very metrosexual. Wait for it.
I'll report back. Thank you, ladies.